Stand by for action.
Hello, and welcome to Back to the 80s, the podcast that travels back through time in a rose-tinted DeLorean. Although this week, it's a little bit holographic. We'll tell you why in a little bit. It is, of course, me, Glenn, aka Dreadwind, from the Cumry Nerd Cave there. How are you doing? Hope you're doing alright when you listen to this and the world hasn't blown up yet and we're not at war and I don't know, there's so much stuff going on these days, it's hard to keep track. But there you go. That is life. Joining me this week in the Nostalgia TARDIS after this really downbeat start. I mean, come on now, that's not good. But joining me this week is friend to the podcast and, well, basically we're his podcast's mistress. As we keep saying, we're a whore. Aaron keeps calling us a whore. So I guess if you were giving him what he needed, then he wouldn't feel the need to come here.
Oh dear.
That is shots fired. But yeah, it is of course Andy from the Smorgaspod. How are you, sir?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm kind of scared that Aaron's going to come and try and kill me now. Nah. He's all right. He knows that. He knows that I sleep around podcast wise. He's too busy being married anyway.
He is now. He is literally. Not now, as we record this, not a few days since gotten married on. He got married on Star Wars Day, May the 4th.
He did. Was that on purpose? Do you think? Or?
It was. Yeah.
Ah, there you go. Excellent. I know Keely had some fucking awesome Converse.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, the white Converse with like the Mrs. Dennis in the Star Wars font and silhouettes of Han and Leia on. How great were they?
Cool. That's pretty cool. Liking it. I don't know Keely at all. I don't really know Aaron, to be fair, but it's nice to see two seemingly nice people. I mean, you obviously say they're nice, so it's good enough for me. So
yeah.
Nice to see two nice people get married.
Yeah, they are good peeps.
There we go, brilliant stuff. Other than that, what have you been up to?
We've been very grown up recently. Amy and I are buying a house. So that we're not constantly throwing like money into the bottomless pit of renting. We've put an offer in on a gaff that is 30 seconds walk from where we are at the moment. Only it's got more bedrooms and it's got a loft for me Transformers and stuff.
Blimey, being all like grown up and shit.
I know. So today, my bank holiday Monday has mostly been spent up in our what would be loft space, but what is our spare room, putting Transformers into boxes.
Such a hard way to spend your time, really, isn't it?
Amy helped. Amy, when I was like busy faffing with them, I was like, "Hey, here, you make that into a fire engine. There you go." And then she passed me it back.
I get the feeling your boxes are going to be more meticulously wrapped than Amy's boxes.
Well, no, she wasn't wrapping boxes and stuff. Because at the moment we're just putting them back into sort of actual Transformer packaging, and then we'll find out who's loose and doesn't have packaging, and then I've got lots of bubble wrap for that. So it's more about uniting people on the shelf with their hanging cards and boxes and instructions and all that gubbins. But it's getting bloody hot at the top of the house. I mean, talk about being hot today.
Well, yes.
Holy moly.
Hottest Mayday on record.
Ah.
I'm taking exception and having to go at people on Twitter and Facebook because it's the hottest Mayday ever.
No, it's hottest Mayday on record. Yeah, there may have been some hotter Maydays when the dinosaurs were around, for example. Yeah. Don't know if they had a Mayday. Did they have bank holidays when the dinosaurs were around? They might have. We don't know because they're all dead.
Exactly. They might have had Mosasaurus Day.
Yeah. Wasn't Mosasaurus the dinosaur who parted the Red Sea?
Yes, that was him. He was the Jewish dinosaur.
Oy vey.
Oy.
Such a big comet you have already. Oh dear. Oh,
Meteor
dear.
in this weather. You know, Jurassic Park. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh dear. Jurassic I am.
Really?
Oi.
Muzzle tough. I'm allowed to say it. You're not. You're being racist. I'm not. I'm allowed to say this shit. But anyway.
Yeah. But I love the sort of like the Jewish expressions and stuff, and I've grown up with so much sort of popular culture and comedy.
Well, we grew up
and
watching fucking Spaceballs, didn't we?
Yeah, so, exactly. Yeah, we all, anybody who's
films,
grown up watching Mel Brooks and loving it and his work and enjoying stuff like that is well within their rights to go, oi, goyim. You know, once in a while, it's got to be done.
Well, it was one of the best bits of Coming to America was when Eddie Murphy's actually doing his Jewish guy impression.
Oh, yeah. I did that. I did that backstage at the play we were doing recently, and Mary Louise, who was playing my wife, she was like, I know that. What's that from? What's it from? And I was like, aha. Aha. Taste the soup. Such a good scene. And it's like a post-credits thing, isn't it, as well? It wasn't even part of the... That particular joke. I mean, obviously the character was in it, but the joke where it talks about getting the waiter to taste the soup, it was like a post-credits sting, and it's one of my favourite parts of the movie. It's brilliant.
There's a post-credits thing as well where he takes the makeup off.
Yes!
It shows that he's Eddie underneath it. It's like, oh... Because a lot of people at the time may not have known it was him.
Exactly, yeah.
Obviously, we do now. But yeah, excellent stuff. What else have you been doing other than packing up?
What else have we been doing? Playing Resident Evil. And Dying Light and shooting zombies and stuff, mostly.
You do like your zombies?
I do like my zombies, yeah, although there aren't really any zombies in Resident Evil 4, which I've been replaying, because that's the one where you go to a sleepy little Spanish village where they're all possessed by parasites and you have to blow their heads off. That's fun. Rescue the president's daughter from the crazy Spanish people.
As you do.
As you do, yeah. It was one where it's divisive amongst fans of Res Evil, because it's the one where the franchise really took the turn towards action more than horror. Although, to be fair, it is pretty freaking creepy. It's just that, you know, you've got a laser sight to shoot with instead of, like, pointing and hoping like you had to do with the previous Resident Evil games.
Much better. And
it was the first proper next-generation one in terms of having, like, rather than having pre-rendered backgrounds, having the proper 3D backgrounds to run around in. Although I think kind of Code Veronica just edged it on that, but it's still... Code Veronica still played like the old Resident Evil, so it kind of doesn't count.
Right.
Yeah. But it's also it's got Leon, the cop from Resident Evil 2. He is like your main character in it. Rather than far from being a rookie, he's like being trained as like a special agent. So he's like under orders to rescue the president's daughter from the president himself. But it also has him re-encountering Ada, the mysterious lady who he met in Resident Evil 2 and can't seem to kind of get out of his head in a Kylie Minogue-ish kind of way. So yeah, it's a good game, and I've played through it and earned myself the Chicago typewriter, which is an excellent Tommy gun with infinite ammunition. So I've just been blasting my way through it with that. Takes out bosses in a matter of seconds if you know where to hit them. It's great.
Yeah. Take about a beach. So you're all up there feeling a bit like Tim Bisley.
Yes, cool. I am. And although today, I've got to say, I've had a day that kind of made me want to drown things, so I probably should have been playing Tomb Raider. Yeah. But what have you been up to?
Well, it was the Swansea Comic and Gaming Con, I think I'm saying it right, this weekend on the Saturday, so I've done that. I did that on the Saturday for a couple of hours, because I think it's important that you obviously go and support something like that if it's in your city or town. You know, even it's only the third year it's been on, so it's not massive. It's getting massive. It's getting bigger every year.
Yeah, but these things start off, you know, as little acorns, and before you know it, because there are so many of us nerds around, and all we need is something like that to flock to. in your local vicinity, and it will become huge. It's great. I've not been to the one at York Racecourse yet, but I think Aaron and I might be hitting that at some point. Cause
I think there's one in Thirsk as well.
Yeah.
There's a few round Yorkshire way now, but the Swansea one, like I say, Cardiff has one twice a year.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not been getting great guests at the moment, and I don't know why. But it's getting sort of good guests, like Roberta Welling's there this year.
Yeah.
But it's getting sort of people from Game of Thrones who are in a couple of scenes as well. Or
yeah.
The usual Star Wars, I was a stormtrooper for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Sort of
People who would attend the opening of Nebula.
Yeah, basically. So it's it's not the sort of LFCC Capaldi, Eccles Cakes, Paul McGann type level.
Yeah.
But I'm a bit sad that I'm not going this year actually, because it seems to be this year. It's Doctor Who heavy. Is LFCC, but Swansea can be as big because obviously they've filmed Doctor Who in Cardiff and Swansea. Sometimes they might get even if it's sort of one of the new companions or maybe even Bradley Walsh. Bradley Walsh should be awesome. But there you go. But yeah, I supported that. Got a few Doctor Who type things. I got they've brought out some Target novels that either weren't brought out at the time due to various reasons, and ones of new stories. So there's one of Rose, and there's also one of Day of the Doctor, which is one I got. I also got the one of City of Death, which wasn't released back in the day because I think Douglas Adams was too big to sort of have a Target novel. But obviously he's no longer with us, so it's not much of an issue anymore. So that's really, really good. And I also got a Doctor Who shower curtain, because you have to.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's basically the TARDIS. So I shower in the TARDIS now.
Excellent.
Which is good. I very much enjoy that. But other than that, it's just been sort of relaxing in the heat, because it is balls hot in Swansea. But apparently not going to be for much longer, because that's what happened last year, right? If I remember correctly. We had like one balls hot week and then it just pissed it down the rest of the year. So
yeah,
climate change doesn't exist, people, though. Apparently, so
does it not?
Well, it must be true. That fucking Labrador-haired twat bag over in the States says so. So
unless,
but then again,
the better.
Then again, knives stop bullets, according to him. So I also saw this little film called Infinity War.
Yes, I've heard of that.
He was all right. I'm getting a bit sick of people. People already are having a go at it, saying, "Oh, he's just very anticlimactic." Yes, there's a reason for that. Not a fucking climax.
Yeah, it's like
for
part
one.
That The Empire Strikes Back was that. Well, bloody left that dangling, didn't they?
Oh, I thought they beat Darth Vader at least. What are you talking about? It just people saying, "Oh, it didn't fulfil my wishes." Oh, I'm sure that'll gut the Russos. Just stay at home and just play the film in your head, because that's what happened with The Last Jedi. That's what's happened here as well.
I can't believe the entitlement of like people saying, "Oh, well, if it's not exactly like I imagined, so it's rubbish." Basically,
I don't get it. I thought it was fine. I thought it was great. It's never going to beat the first Avengers film, because you've seen these characters now. The novelty of seeing them all on the screen for the first time, you'll never get that back. But I thought there was some great moments in it. I thought it was very funny. It was some heartbreaking moments. I do have theories. Let's talk about a couple.
Yeah, sure. Aaron and I are going to give it a good old chew over on this week's Smorgaspod as well. So
yeah, we're not going to talk about it for long. We'll talk about it for a couple of minutes. My theory is the people you see die are dead. The people you saw disintegrate are not dead.
That was my theory as well, yeah.
So Loki's gone, and Gamora's gone.
Yep, and Heimdall.
The rest... Heimdall. Well, Elba's been crapping on for years about how much he hates being in the Marvel films.
Yep. See,
got your wish, mate.
Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck off. Yeah, Idris, I don't like you. Hiddleston has said that he don't want to do it no more, which is understandable. He's been in a lot of films.
Yeah.
So he's, I think, gone. I don't think Zoe Saldana's gone. I think, because I have seen on Wiki, spoilers, that she may be back for the next one, but I have a theory about that.
Mm.
I think Gamora's going to be haunting Thanos.
Yeah.
I think he's all happy on his island. Oh, I've done good, I've done the right thing. But she's going to come back and say, sure about that, motherfucker?
Yeah. And also, I regarding the post-credits sequence in it. Because we know that the Captain Marvel movie is set in the 90s, don't we?
Yes, but she must be on standby.
Yeah. I wondered whether he was paging her now, or whether he was actually paging her back in time.
Now.
Yeah?
I think now. I think because she's effectively the Marvel Universe's Green Lantern, isn't she? Effectively.
Yeah.
So I think she's off on another planet doing stuff.
Technically, Nova is the Marvel Universe's Green Lantern.
Yeah,
but she's Marvel's
part of the Nova Corps, isn't she? Kind of.
I don't know.
She's. Oh God, I can never get him right. Is it Krull or Scree or Scree? Isn't she?
No, she's Kree-born powers. Yeah, because it was Marvel was the original Kree whose powers she wears. Oh, is he playing Marvel? Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, so we actually... Oh, damn it. We could have had him and Martin Freeman and Beanie Hat Cabbage Patch and Tony Stark all in the same scene doing like a Holmes and Watson quadruplet. That would have been awesome.
Or we could do what Richard Herring always says, which instead of having Martin Freeman, have Tim from The Office.
Yeah.
Not Martin Freeman, it's Tim from The Office.
Yeah.
And a Shrek in the background. Not Shrek, a Shrek.
A Shrek.
But yeah, it's as far as I'm aware, Marvel is going to be in the next one as well.
Cool.
But I don't know. I definitely know that the Captain Marvel film is basically Carol Danvers getting her powers and Marvel teaching her.
Yeah, that would make sense. We've got to establish who she is and what she can do.
Also, for anybody really, really worried about this, don't be. Because Strange did a bit of meditating and said there were 14 million possibilities and that there was only one that would work.
And that was the one gave Tony the mind.
Yeah. Isaac gave Tony the time stone. He said, "This is the only way."
Yeah.
So he said that because Thanos was going to kill Tony. So I'm guessing Tony is part of the key to winning.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't. Because what would have happened is that he would have killed Tony Stark anyway, Thanos, and then killed Strange and got the stone. So Tony must need to be alive, but Strange doesn't necessarily need to be alive.
Precisely.
Yeah. I thought about this shit. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, so does Doctor Strange. He knows what he's doing.
Also, I reckon Nebula's going to get a few Tony Stark upgrades.
Oh, that would be awesome.
On Titan. Because there's loads of technology about it.
Yeah.
It's just not working. But he can get it to work because he's Tony Stark. He's a genius. So I reckon Nebula... Also, I reckon Nebula's going to be joining the Guardians.
I thought that as well, yeah.
I have a feeling. In Gamora's place.
Any excuse for more Karen Gillan on our screens, to be honest, as far as I'm concerned. I think she's awesome.
She is a bit awesome. She's going to be in Jumanji 2 as well. It's going to happen and she's going to be in it. So
yeah, because she was brilliant in the new Jumanji.
She was very good. They were all good, to be fair. It was a good film.
It was a really well cast movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
But yes, it was. There were some good parts of Infinity War. My favourite part of the whole film is the part that is completely inconsequential, but it's when Thor is trying to hold open the furnaces.
Yeah.
For Peter Dinklage's character, Trey, I think it is.
Yeah.
If I die, I die. Well, yes, that's pretty much what that means.
Yeah, there's some really nice little throwaway comedy moments in there.
Most of them involving Peter Dinklage.
Yeah, oh, he's great. I mean,
people cheered when he came on the screen when I saw it.
If you're going to have a dwarf, you're going to have the dwarf. He's like...
Yeah, you're going to have the dude.
Yeah, he's great. He's so cool.
I like the fact that he's bigger than everybody as well, so it completely turns it on its head. Excellent. There was that whole bit with Star-Lord and Thor as well. To be fair, Thor was a massive part of why this film was great.
Yeah.
Hemsworth has really found his feet. Thor, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And Thor Ragnarok had a really, really nice groove to it. It almost out-Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, it saved Thor, basically.
Yeah.
As a character and as a thing, because they're doing another one.
Yeah.
Whereas before they weren't doing another one. But yeah, look, great stuff all around. There's stuff that's going to be resolved because Wong hasn't appeared in it again. So Wong's obviously going to be part of the how they save everybody. Captain Marvel's obviously going to be coming into it. All the characters you didn't see, like Valkyrie and Hawkeye and all those, expect them to be in the next one.
Yeah, because we know that like Hawkeye and Ant-Man weren't in it because of the whole Civil War thing. They were in like essentially witness protection, which is why we didn't see them. So because they've got family.
Ant-Man comes back in August, which I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to that. People are moaning about it, apparently, saying, "Oh, well, how can you have such a light film in the middle of?" Well, it's like a palate cleanser, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
But you can't all be doom, gloom, and seriousness all the time. No. I'm really looking forward to it. And Captain Marvel, I'm really looking forward to seeing. It's Brie Larson, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who's awesome. I like Brie Larson.
I don't really know much of her, to be honest. I've not seen an awful lot.
She's very good in 21 Jump Street.
Yeah.
And she's in Trainwreck as well. She plays Amy Schumer's sister in Trainwreck. She's a very good actress. Very, very good actress. And you've got, obviously, with the DC side of it, Aquaman comes out later on this year, and apparently that's testing really well, which is good. And then you've got the other Captain Marvel, played by Zachary Levi. So Shazam comes out next year as well.
Oh, that's cool.
I can't wait for that. I'm really looking forward to that. Big Captain Marvel fan, which is confusing a lot of people. But there you go. Right, we should go to an advert and then we should come back and talk about some holograms.
Let's do it.
And I don't mean Gem.
Oh.
So the adverts this week are all going to be Visionaries toy adverts, of which there were literally none in the UK. They all come from America because they basically, well, we'll talk about it in a minute, but they didn't really push it.
No, they totally didn't.
But never mind. We shall be back in a couple of minutes to talk about some Knights of the Magical Light.
Hey.
Bye-bye for now.
Jim will be right back after these messages.
It is a time when those who control the magic control destiny. Spectral Knights battle evil Darkling Lords.
Knights of the Magical Light. Visionaries with magical powers they fight. Visionaries.
Quick! Warn Spectral Knights! It's the Darkling Lords! Rescue chariots to the rescue!
Visionaries! Knights of the Magical Light!
Visionaries from Hasbro. It is a time when those who control the magic control destiny. When Spectral Knights battle evil Darkling Lords.
Knights of the Magical Light! Visionaries with magical powers they fight! Visionaries!
Theater Cycle will stop the Darkling Lords! Skyclaw, attack the Spectral Knights! May the light shine forever!
Visionaries! Knights of the Magical Light!
Visionaries from Hasbro. Know the magic control destiny. Where Spectral Knights battle evil Darkling Lords.
Visionaries! Knights of the Magical Light! Visionaries! With magical powers they fight! Visionaries!
It's coming. An amazing holographic world erupting in furious battle as the Visionaries fight for the power of the magical light.
Visionaries!
Coming soon from the makers of Transformers.
Visionaries!
It is a time when those who control the magic control destiny. When Spectral Knights battle evil Darkling Lords.
Visionaries! Knights of the Magical Light! Visionaries! With magical powers they fight! Visionaries!
They're attacking! Use your mind control power! They've stolen it! Now I'll control their minds, and my magical power will shake the earth!
Visionaries! Knights of the Magical Light!
Visionaries from Hasbro.
And now, back to Gem.
And we are back. Hope you enjoyed the ads almost as much as we did, because we really enjoyed them. We haven't seen them while we've been away, but never mind. That's how this works behind the curtain, lads. So, Visionaries. Now, a bit of context on Visionaries. It was a media franchise. It was a line of action figures from Hasbro. It was a cartoon series and a comic book series as well, all in 1987. The story set on the planet Prismos, which is a planet far, far away from here, and it's implied it's in an alternate universe in some media. In fact, Flint Dilly, on Knowing Is Half the Podcast, did say it's probably an alternate universe. But it's an advanced society where everything is electronic and electric, and it's complex machinery, and it's all cool and sort of super advanced. Think Wakanda. It's kind of like that.
They've had like thousands of years of comfort and advanced civilization, haven't they?
Yes, exactly that. Until the planet's 3 suns align, which completely knackers all that.
What's their light?
Exactly. Completely knackers everything. And nothing electrical works, no machinery works, no technology works, and the planet soon devolves into basically a feudal society. So it's all to do with knights and castles, and it's basically the Dark Ages, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And a group called the Spectral Knights rise up and try and protect society, especially New Valaric, their personal fortress and city. And they try and bring about a Renaissance period, so they try and bring back learning and things like that, and art back to Prismos. Wizard called Merklin comes along and says, "Right then, lads, all knights on this planet, I'm going to hold a special tournament, and the prize is magic. Quest on!" So they all go on this massive quest, the Spectral Knights included, and various traps and various things get in the way. And most people don't. I won't say don't survive, because you're not shown any on-screen death, but most people sort of think, "Ooh, I'm not doing this anymore," and bugger off home. However, survivors on both sides are rewarded. Most of the Spectral Knights, in fact all the Spectral Knights, succeed. And then another group, consisting of some bad dudes, criminals, and mercenaries, and one guy who is basically a crime boss, they survive too, and are dubbed by Leoric the Darkling Lords. They are not dubbed the Darkling Lords by themselves, because he says, was it back, Darkling Lords? Darkling Lords! I like the sound of that!
Yeah.
I love Darkstorm. He's one of my favourite villains ever. So yeah, the Merklin then grants them all magic. He gives them magical animal totems, which means that they can transform into animals for a limited time. He also gives some of them staffs, which have certain powers and certain things that they're able to do, and the others get magical powers which are a little bit different. They can power vehicles, so whereas a vehicle wouldn't work before, it would work as long as they're near or in it. The price for this magic that Merklin grants them is basically, he wants them to do jobs and tasks for him that he can't be bothered doing.
Side quests.
Basically side quests, yeah. Do you know why? Do you know why all this happened?
Go on.
Well, Flint Dilley wrote this, basically. It was him, it was Buzz Dixon, it was Doug Booth, are the main sort of creative forces, and Flint Dilley, who we know from G.I. Joe, he wrote Transformers the movie.
Yep.
Sorry, he was the story consultant on he wrote it. And lots of other games, including Pokemon Go. He wrote a lot of the stuff for Pokemon Go as well. He, in the 80s, was also heavily involved in D&D because he was friends with Gary Gygax, and his sister basically owned the company of TSR.
Ah.
So, yes, they are actually side quests. But yeah, Merklin is sort of neutral good, I suppose, because he doesn't care who wins. He'd rather the Darkling Lords didn't win, but if they do, they do, and he will often help them out to obviously create balance. He's sort of a balancing force on Prismos.
He's kind of all about maintaining balance.
Well, one of the things I kind of like about Visionaries is that there is no good fighting evil. It's not really about that.
No, it's self-interest versus the greater good.
Yeah, it's not Darkling Lords are doing something, we have to stop them.
No.
It's more involved than that. It's a lot of adventures.
Yeah.
And the Darkling Lords will always be against the Spectral Knights, and they'll try to stop them. It's more, Spectral Knights are trying to do stuff, and the Darkling Lords trying to stop them being able to do stuff.
Yeah.
Rather than rule the world. Darkstorm doesn't really want to rule the world.
No, he just wants his own piece of the pie to be bigger than other people's, and he'd be quite happy with that, I think.
Yeah, he wants followers, he wants money, he wants treasure, he wants, power.
He wants to live well in the sort of society that they've got, because they don't have what they used to have back in the day.
He's basically Prismos' Ayn Rand. He's a libertarian, I guess. But yeah, obviously. So the series, like I say, is more about adventures and side quests and Merklin getting them to do stuff rather than I'm going to take over this planet. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Because, yeah, those episodes just don't happen. The Spectral Knights, being good guys, all get nice powers, and they all get nice totems. So you've got on one side Leoric, who is basically the leader of the Spectral Knights. He's the Prince of New Valaric. You get the feeling he was sort of somebody quite important in Prismos' past.
Yeah, absolutely.
His magical totem is a lion. You get Ektar, who was a cop.
Yeah, I always liked Ektar. He was cool.
He had the blue and white armour as well, didn't he?
Yeah. He looked really different to the other guys.
Should have said as well, because it was Sunbow who did all of this, Marvel weren't involved at all. So Hasbro, basically, they made the figures, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. Mm-hmm. They got the cartoon running, they got the comic running. The comic only ran for 5 issues, sadly. Just didn't find an audience. Neither did the cartoon, but they still made 13 episodes of it.
But the comic book, albeit it didn't run for as long, they did manage to give Galadria and Virulina their powers, which the cartoon never got to do.
No, I'm guessing that again is influence of Flint Dille because he wrote the comic.
Yeah.
So I get the feeling that the comic scripts and the cartoon scripts might have been quite involved and were cut down in some way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Sunbow made it, so it's basically Sunbow's best voice actors stuck around, and by this point they all knew each other very well, so you get really good voice performances.
Yeah, you get that actual sense of camaraderie, don't you? I think with them.
Absolutely, and you get some really good performances out of them as well. So Neil Ross, who usually plays characters like Shipwreck, Springer, that kind of thing, he plays Leoric. Ektar, like I say, he was a policeman in the city of Valaric. He often matched his wits against a master criminal called Recon, who we shall talk about in a minute. He was one of the people who never got the totems. He never got the staff. Sorry, yeah. I tell a lie. He got the Lancer cycle instead, so he could have magical powers of protection on vehicles and stuff. So, which is cool. He was never actually used in the cartoon or the comic to any great extent, but he did have a spell which was shield his craft from one and all, reflect, deflect, depose, and fall. Should go back to Leoric as well. He had a magical power which was wisdom in his power staff, and his one was whispered secrets of the shattered age. I summon you, renew this sage.
Yeah,
great. And look out behind you. Michael McConaughey did Ektar. He voiced mainly Trax. He did a few voices in Transformers and G.I. Joe, but mainly Trax is what he's known for. You then go to Ferrell, who's the youngest of the Spectral Knights. He lives in New Valaric as well. His totem is the wolf. He doesn't have a power staff, but he has an additional ability to activate vehicles, and the main vehicle he uses is the Capture Chariot.
Which was a really cool toy.
Oh, really, really
good. Those flying pod things with the great holograms on the back of them as well. That was wicked.
Oh, yeah, very, very good. I liked the Capture Chariot a lot. It's a very good vehicle. His spell in there, which was never used, was draw upon the breath of stars and scorch the skies with fiery scars. And he was voiced by Bo Weaver, who mainly voiced Octane in Transformers, and he also did Mr. Fantastic in the Fantastic Four cartoons. Lots of other things. Then you've got Cryotech, who's the oldest of the group. He comes from the cold north, the Great White North, which is a cold climate. And because of that, he has the totem. It says it says the totem of the bear, but it's a polar bear.
Yeah, it is a polar bear. Yeah, we always knew that.
Yeah, it was massive. It was a huge bear.
Yeah.
Polar bear. And his power staff bestows the power of strength. His main adversary among the Darkling Lords is Sindar, and he's shown to have a romantic relationship with Galadria.
Yeah.
His magical staff spell was 3 suns aligned, pour forth their light,
and fill the archer's bow with might. Yeah.
And voiced by Bernard Erhard, who, if you didn't know, is the voice of Psykill.
Cool.
Among other things, but that's the main voice. You then got Witterquick, who was the prince of an unnamed city in the south, but he was a character I really liked because he had the totem of the cheetah.
Yeah.
That's one of my favourite animals. And his power staff bestows a lower of light speed.
Oh, can I do the spell?
Oh, go on then.
Sheathe these feet in driving gale, make swift these legs, over land I sail.
Yes, he was pretty good. I do like it. He was voiced by Jim Cummins, who, among other things, is Darkwing Duck.
Yeah. Jim Cummins is such... he's got hell of a catalogue of voices, isn't he? He's brilliant.
Winnie the Pooh, obviously. He's Tigger as well these days. He's the modern Tigger.
Yeah, because he took over. Blah, blah, blah. My brain's gone completely blank. He took over from Sterling Holloway, didn't he? From
Yes.
Winnie the Pooh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And as far as I know, Jim Cummings is going to be in the Winnie the Pooh movie, the one with Ewan McGregor.
I think he is doing Pooh's voice. Yeah,
It's definitely Pooh's voice.
Yeah.
But
he's going to actually be in it.
Pooh, yeah. I think he's actually Pooh.
Oh, right. I just wondered whether he had like a physical cameo as well.
I don't think so. I think he's just doing Pooh's voice. I'm hoping they get Tigger as well in there.
I think they should. It would be a crying shame if it weren't in the world. Oh man, you and I could totally do that.
I'm not very good at Tiggers.
I think you're perfectly good as Tigger.
What the fuck do you know, Pooh? The wonderful thing about Tiggers. That was actually voiced by the guy who did Dick Dastardly.
Yeah.
Was Tigger, who had a lot of problems.
Oh dear.
I've read his autobiography. He wasn't a particularly nice man.
Oh dear.
Wasn't his fault. He had a lot of issues. And they reckon he probably could have been undiagnosed bipolar and things like that. But it was the 50s and 60s.
Didn't have that in those days. Yeah.
Nah, it didn't exist. But anyway, Jim Cummings voiced Whittaker, and he's very, very cool. Arzon is next. He's one of my favourites as well. I do love Arzon.
'Tis not a problem. It's merely a cleverly disguised opportunity.
He was cool. He possessed the totem of the eagle. His power staff imparts the power of knowledge. He, again, is one of the younger Spectral Knights, so can be quite impetuous. He's kind of like a Hot Rod sort of a character.
Yeah.
But he did have the power of knowledge in his staff, which is a whim, a thought, and more is sought. Awake my mind, they will be wrought. Voiced by Hal Rail.
Oh, yeah. Hal Rail was one of the Insecticons, wasn't he? Was he Shrapnel?
I think he was Shrapnel.
Yeah.
He was also Deep Six in G.I. Joe as well.
Yeah.
And he was also the voice of Predator in Predator 2.
Oh, that's an interesting factoid.
Yeah. Very, very popular. I think, again, they had Bill Ratner, who was the voice of Flint on podcasting, Knowing He's Half the Podcast, and he was saying about how he's a nice guy, but he's like sort of proper out there, so yeah. It's fun to be around, basically. And then you had Galadria, who was obviously voiced by Sue Blue. It's a female voice in the 80s. Come on now. I love Sue Blue, she's awesome. She's responsible for half of your childhood. The other person, well, the third, I would say. The other 2/3 is Wally Burr and Andrea Romano.
Yeah.
But there you go. She's the only female. Oh, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, yeah, because she went on to do a lot of voice directing, didn't she? You know,
loads. I mean, she's recently retired, I think.
Yeah, she was voice director for all of Beast Wars, wasn't she? I think as well.
Beast Wars, Transformers Animated.
Yeah.
What Andrea Romano wasn't directing in the 90s that Sue Blue was directing.
Yeah.
Andrea Romano directed like everything, including like SpongeBob and things like that. So, but yes, Galadria was the only female knight amongst the Spectral Knights. Didn't get a toy. Not good. She possessed the totem of the dolphin, and like we said, she's the love interest of Cryotech. She didn't have a staff, but she is capable of driving vehicles, and in the comics she possessed a shield, which was subsequently imbued with the power of healing.
Yeah.
And her main adversary was Virulina. But her healing power was by warmth of heart, your pain I feel, grant me the power your wounds to heal.
Oh.
So there we go. The Darkling Lords then, we start off with Darkstorm, who's the leader. He commanded the allegiance of Rickon and Mordred originally anyway, but he gets the allegiance of others, basically blackmailing them or saying, I won't release you out of this trap. That kind of thing. If you swear fealty to me, I'll free you, basically. But he bears the totem of the mollusk. His power staff holds the power of decay, and he can also reverse his own decay and decay people in the show. He does it once in the show.
Yeah.
And obviously, Leoric's his adversary. His magical totem, so decay is by what creeps, what crawls, what does not. Let all that grows recede and rot. And then it's power of rot, obscuring truth, what once was old, restore to youth. And doing basically an evil version of Sparkluck's voice was Chris Latta.
Yeah.
Who's awesome. I love the fact that Chris Latta was so much more than the Cobra Commander voice.
Oh, yeah.
That's all people think he is, Cobra Commander and Starscream. But the amount of voices he did in Transformers, G.I. Joe and Visionaries is just immense.
Yeah, because there was one that he'd done that he was not even credited for, and somebody had said that it was somebody else doing a voice, and it was in an episode of Transformers, I think. I can't remember who it was that he did, but so people kept saying, "Oh, that was such and such who did it," and somebody else who was in that session said, "Well, actually, no, it wasn't. It was Chris."
Triptychon, wasn't it?
Might well have been.
I think it was Triptychon, because I think Brad Garrett came in for a few sessions, but I think Chris Latter did Triptychon.
Yeah.
In fact, I think Chris Latter did Triptychon in Call of the Primitives.
I think. Which is pretty much my only frame of reference for Triptychon.
Well, he did Thief in the Night and things like that.
Yeah.
Which are good episodes.
I've still not watched an awful lot of the post-movie stuff, even though I've got it on DVD. I know. I've watched bits and bobs of it, but Call of the Primitives is the one that I grew up with. As growing up, that was my only episode that I think I'd ever seen with Triptychon in it, which is why I thought Triptychon was so cool.
I smell a side sitcom. Well, I smell a side podcast, but probably devolved into sitcom. Getting Andy to watch season 3 of Transformers. Gonna do it. You got then Recon, who was a I'm so tired. A career thief during the Age of Science. He serves Darkstorm for basically mercenary reasons. He gets paid to do so.
Yeah.
For stealth and treachery, Merklin gives him the totem of the Lizard or the Lizard. But he has a battle of wits against Ektar that he basically had before the Age of Magic began. Kind of like Quark and what's his chops? Udder.
Yeah.
In Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
Bit like that, but a bit more antagonistic. But again, he has no power staff, but he can power vehicles, and his vehicle is the Dagger Assault, which is my favourite vehicle from Visionaries. And that features a containment cell that serves as a magic extractor as well. So you basically put someone in it and it nicks their totem.
The hologram on that was great because it was an
awesome.
animated red beam hologram on a transparent sticker. I mean, it just didn't get any cooler than that in the late 80s.
So expensive. That's part of the reason the line didn't succeed, because it was too expensive.
Oh.
His magic extractor, which was never used in anything, was flay the flesh, lay bare the bone, upon this field let grief be sown. That's dark, isn't it? And he was voiced by the amazing Roscoe Lee Brown.
Awesome.
Who I love. He was great.
He's got a really, really grand voice, hasn't he? It's like proper, like, gravelly and...
It's like James Earl Jonesy.
Yeah.
That really deep bass voice.
Yeah.
I like Recon a lot.
That is my staff. You know,
great.
And he had that wicked-looking sort of angular sword, serrated-looking sword as well.
Yeah, and he's sort of insectoid armour as well.
Yeah, like really interesting kind of scales, and you had like the what Amy pointed out is, because I just watched the very first episode before we came on tonight. Amy said, "Oh, nice fishnets," but he had like that. It was more of a texture thing on the legs, which you don't really get in the cartoon, but on the figure you could see it was like the texture of the armor. It was almost like armadillo plates.
Yeah, it was kind of like Shocker from Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's what kind of always reminded me of. You've then got Mordred, who's Ace. He is Darkstorm's most loyal Darkling Lord because he's basically an unapologetic sycophant. He possesses...
Help!
Oh, my Lord Darkstorm! He was the totem of the Scampering Beetle. Again, he can power vehicles, and he used the Sky Claw. Or the Sky Dagger, I think he was called as well. His main adversary was Feral. He's voiced by the amazing Jonathan Harris.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the pain! The pain! Off Lost in Space. He was the original Dr. Smith, for anybody who watches Lost in Space.
Yeah, because Mordred had the Sky Claw, was the vehicle that he came with as a figure, but he was also pictured driving the Dagger Dart, which was the flying vehicle on top of the Dagger Assault.
That's the one, the Dagger Dart. There you go. But his flight totem was Wings of Steel shall ride the breeze, invade the air, the land, the seas. But yeah, I do love the fact that he was, oh, Lord Darkstorm. He was very, very sycophantic. And yet he was totally duplicitous to everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
And he would tell them off for not praising Darkstorm enough. Yeah. I liked him a lot. He then got another of my favourites, Sindar.
Yeah.
Who was previously, he was a construction worker. He's the eldest in the group. He's dim-witted. He's very strong. He's completely merciless to Spectral Knights, but he does like small animals and children. He won't hurt them.
Yeah.
A kitty! So yeah, there is, like I say, there is a part where his destruction staff power is basically kicking ass out of New Valaric, and Sindar sees that a kitten is caught in the destruction, and he basically stops it all so he can save this kitten, and it winds Darkstorm up no end. But Sindar will not see small animals or children hurt. He has the totem of the gorilla. And like I say, he has the Staff of Destruction, which is by nature's hand, by craft, by art, what once was one, now fly apart. And voiced by Peter Cullen.
Yes, he was.
He was awesome. I liked Sindar a lot.
Yeah, he's a great... I mean, we're going to talk about the action figures in a little bit, but Sindar, I think, was maybe one of the first ones that I got for that reason. I just thought he was a great character, and just wicked-looking armour as well.
Yeah, and they gave him a bit of character as well. That's one of the things I liked about Visionaries, is that they gave them all quite good characters rather than just have them as archetypes.
Yeah.
They had a bit of something to them. Because, like I say, Sindar, not very often you get a strong guy sort of character in something that has this conflicting and sort of weird character quirk that, you know, anything like a small animal, he'll save it and he won't destroy it. Quite good. I like that. I like that.
Something a bit different.
You've then got somebody who wouldn't give a shit about small animals, which is Kravex. He's the most short-tempered of the Darkling Lords. Basically, he has anger issues. He bears the totem of the Philot, which is like a pterodactyl-like scavenging creature on Prismos, and his power staff invokes the power of fear. How misfilled pits that dank and clear, that you'll before me with first-fingered fear! And he was voiced, obviously, by Chris Latter.
Yeah.
Doing a really angry Cobra Commander. Kravex was a badass, though, whereas a lot of characters that he played with that kind of screeching voice, Cobra Commander's a coward, and Starscream's a bit of a coward. Kravex is not a coward.
No, he's a badass.
He will quite happily just punch you in the face for looking at him the wrong way. He's basically Begbie.
Yeah.
Did you smell my pint? You can't! Nice. He's a bit of a twat, but I do like him. One of the figures I had now is Lexor, who possesses the totem of the armadillo and his power
Armadillos! Crunchy on the
Armadillos!
outside, soft on the inside.
Armadillos! His power staff has the power of invulnerability. Lexor is generally regarded as a liar and a coward, and his power staff is often used to defend against Cryotech's staff of strength. The arrows turn, the swords rebel, let nothing pierce this mortal shell. Yes. And again, voiced by Michael McConaughey. I like Lexor because he'll just say anything to get himself out of a bad situation.
Yeah.
He's basically Seymour Skinner when the superintendent. I've been watching a lot of variations of Steamed Hams lately, and that whole thing, if you think about what Seymour's saying in all that, it's Lexor.
Yeah.
No, I said steamed hams. Steamed hams. Even though they're clearly beef burgers. Yeah, steamed hams, it's a dialect thing. Where from? Well, upstate New York. Well, I'm from there. It's not in Utica. Ah, well, that's an Albany thing. And that's basically Lexor. Whatever you say, he will say completely opposite to get his ass
weasel his way out of it, yeah.
Oh, he's ace. I love it. I love characters like that. Really weaselly, sort of Larry David-esque characters.
Yeah.
It's great. And then finally we have Virulina. Virulina was a newscaster. She is seen on the show being a newscaster, and was also seen on a poster modelling clothes in a shop window during a flashback scene. Ooh. She's the only female Darkling Lord. She possesses the totem of the shark, which is cool. Galadria, obviously, her main. See, I think that's so unfair. So you're a good guy, so you get the dolphin. Oh, you're a bad guy, you get the shark. Fuck those guys. Sharks are awesome. What you talking about? Dolphins are bastards. But anyway, she again is capable of driving the vehicles, and she had a shield again, which was imbued with the power of disease. Not surprising at all. And she was voiced by Jennifer Darling, who voiced lots of things in her career.
I was trying to work out when I was watching it again who it was. Yeah,
rather than just get Sue Blue, they actually did get Jennifer Darling, who's done loads of stuff. She was Hipposedeth in Aladdin. She was Dreamgazer in The Moon Dreamer. She was Grams Bear in Care Bears. She's done quite a lot of anime as well. She's around. She's also, I think her first famous role was probably Miss Holly Pollywinkle in Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. So, yeah, she's in a lot. But yeah, really cool characters, Virulina, and none of them were given much to do. Merklin was the other main character as well. So obviously he is, as we say, pretty neutral. He will give magical gifts in exchange for services, but they also sometimes prove to be more trouble than they're worth. Voiced by Roscoe Lee Brown again.
Yeah.
So Roscoe Lee Brown voiced 2 white characters, even though he was a very, very black man.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. It's voice acting. That's why they call it acting.
That's true enough. But yes, that was basically a cartoon, let's say 13 episodes. I do suggest you go watch it. In the UK, you can buy the UK DVD, even if you're in America. But it was never available on DVD in America, only in the UK.
Interesting.
Yeah, weird. Very weird. Still not. I remember quite a while back, about a year back, Flint Dilly, the aforementioned Flint Dilly, who we've had on the podcast, came on Facebook and just said to people, does anybody know where I can watch Visionaries? Because I don't have a DVD of it, which is astounding to me. So I actually gave him the link to Dailymotion, where all the episodes resided, and said, "Oh, thanks for that, Glenn. That's really nice of you." And I thought, the guy who wrote it's thanking me, because I'm such a nerd.
It's like being touched by the hand of a god, though, isn't it? When somebody who you look up to in a celebrity sort of way kind of likes what you've done or thanks you for something and stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, happened with Bill Cosby as well. I can say it now.
Yeah, because he's where he belongs.
In prison, or he will be anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, 13 episodes, and basically, because the toy line didn't do so good, Hasbro basically said, no, we're not doing any more. And that's a real shame. It was really well animated as well, because it was TMS who did it, the guys who did the aforementioned Call of the Primitives.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they animate Tokyo. Oh God, I can't remember what it is now. 2 seconds, I'll go up there. What was it? TMS. So it was Tokyo Mubi Shinsha who did it, and still around, so I don't know. But they animated it, and it's to a really, really high standard. As we said, the voice acting in it is very good. You should definitely go and watch it. We're not going to do a breakdown of it, because you should go watch it for yourselves. But it is awesome.
We won't spoil anything for you. Just go and enjoy it.
I really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed watching it again. I've not watched it for a long time, but knowing we were going to have a chat about it, I thought, let's refresh my head a bit. And I was surprised how well the animation holds up. You know, even 30 odd years on, it's like it hasn't aged at all. It looks really, really good.
Yeah, I think, again, it's because of things like the writing was really good in it, and it wasn't, like we said, the archetypal 80s, bad guys on one side, good guys on another. Because there was a bit more to it, it was playing quite sort of literally to the D&D generation.
Yeah.
It knew its audience. I think there are many reasons it didn't succeed. I think one of them is that they just came too late.
Yeah.
Because people had already had Masters of the Universe. It's not a similar concept, but it's similar enough.
Yeah, it's kind of like
say,
sorcery and a bit of technology kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, and I think, obviously, that sort of sword and sorcery era was earlier in the 80s.
Yeah.
By 87, kids were getting into video games and things like that.
I've got to say, though, something that I kind of, in terms of balancing it against the other cartoons that I watched as a kid, I think Visionaries holds a higher place for me than things like you know, Thundercats and stuff, in terms of how much I loved it as a kid. The cartoon wise, I enjoyed the He-Man cartoon a lot. Mm-hmm. But for that, I really for me, He-Man was more about the action figures. I didn't mind so much whether I watched every episode of the cartoon. I suppose maybe because there was more of it. Whereas Visionaries, obviously not as many episodes of it, but what there was absolutely spot on.
Kind of left you wanting more.
Yeah, it really did. When I realised that last episode was the last episode, I was like, what? They can't stop now. This is brilliant.
Yeah, it was a real damn shame. I wish there was more. I'm kind of glad there isn't, in a way, because I like the feeling of wanting more.
It is 80s cartoon Firefly, isn't it, really? It's the one that you wish had continued, but what there was perfect, and let's not spoil it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I think they should definitely sort of give it a go. I mean, apparently they have given it a go in the IDW comics, and apparently it isn't very good.
But then I think it's because they're trying to kind of Hasbro multiverse it, everybody's all in the same universe, yeah. And some of the designs, I think, are slightly suspect with the Visionaries. Yeah. They just don't look, they look a little bit more, I don't know, they look a bit sort of graffiti punkish. They've tried to update them a bit too much.
Yeah, you can't update something that was never dated in the first place.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. You can't make, like, people who used to live in a technologically advanced society who are now living as feudal knights more modern, because you can't.
No.
There was something wrong with the designs in the first place. But, now the fact is that Hasbro are looking at all these intellectual properties and thinking, well, okay, they might not all function together in one comic universe, which is maybe why IDW are stopping doing the Transformers and somebody else is going to do it. But let's see where they go with it, because if they do want to bring Visionaries back, I'd be down for it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, they did do the SDCC figure of Leoric, which some people are sort of saying isn't very good, but I've seen reviews of it. It looks...
It's a nice figure. I would say it's not as good as the original Leoric figure, but then what is?
It's the aesthetic of the G.I. Joe 25th anniversary line. So it's, I like that aesthetic. I understand why they didn't do a hologram for a limited edition run figure. And I don't quite honestly think they should bring the hologram gimmick back if they ever brought it back, personally. I don't think it needs it. I like the problem. Well, I mean, obviously with the action figures, the figures were brought out after the cartoon series ended. And they had holograms everywhere. So they had them on the chests, they had them on the staffs, which were quite expensive. The vehicles had them splattered all over the place as well. And like I say, the process of getting holograms done, quite expensive.
Yeah.
And it made running costs really high.
Yeah, because you've got to make the model that you're going to scan, you've then got to laser it, and anything involving lasers is always going to be expensive.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not so much now, but certainly back then, really hella expensive. And because they just didn't catch on, they didn't break even, I don't think. I think they actually lost money on Visionaries. So they never brought them, because they were going to bring out a second wave of characters in 1988, but they didn't.
Yeah, with like animal-themed helmets and stuff.
Yeah, animal-themed helmets and shields and different vehicles. If you really want a good look at those, I suggest you go over to thevisionaries.net. Where the Mapes brothers, who are very much into their Visionaries, they have got pictures of them.
Yeah, there's some really nice scans of the image, like the concept art, and were there some protos made?
Yeah, there were. Yeah, I seen them. I've seen them on their phones. There were 8 Spectral Knights and 10 Darkling Lords and all kinds of vehicles and stuff. And because they're magical, those two. The Mapeses, they basically have got access to all this cool stuff. So if you go to thevisionaries.net, go look at it, because it's really good.
I really wish I still had my Visionaries figures, because I think
I
wound up with a full roster of what was released, and I can't remember what happened to it. I don't know if it went to like my cousins or somewhere else. But
I know what happened to a few things.
Yeah,
I think you had spares of the Lancer Cycle and the Dagger Assault because you gave them to me.
Yes, that is true.
I think they were sparesies.
Yeah, I think. Initially, I think my little brother got the Dagger Assault, and he just wasn't really fussed with it and stuff, and that it wound up going your way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With obviously the blessing of your mum, who was wonderful about things like that.
Yeah.
I got them, and oh god, I wish I still had them because they're so expensive. I do have a Darkstorm that somebody gave to me.
Nice.
Sans helmet and sans staff, but it's still Darkstorm. But yeah, the figures were really cool because they were the G.I. Joe style figure, but they had holograms and they had obviously the sculpted details, and the armor they had was all unique.
Yeah.
They all had different coloured. It wasn't any gang moulded stuff.
I really liked the helmets. They were kind of like a softer plastic, removable, but the helmets always fit on really well.
Yeah, it didn't look like they usually did with these sort of toys, which is oversized and rubbish.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they just looked spot on. They were great little figures. And do you remember? There was a little panel-based puzzle called Rubik's Magic, where you had to make the rings link by flipping over these panels. Well, my Rubik's Magic fell to bits because I couldn't work out how to do it. But holding it together, and the actual magic behind Rubik's Magic were these. It was like fishing wire, but it was like a loop of fishing wire that was totally, like, it was sealed at both ends to form a total loop. And I, with the aid of some cut down drinking straws and the fact that you could unclip the holograms from the front of the figures, I was able to run this loop, which was just a perfect size, through a drinking straw, but hook it over their totem at the front, then go around under their waist and come up underneath the hologram where it clipped on at the bottom, and make a place for the people with power staffs to hold their power staff on their back, just like they did on the cartoon.
But you were always like that. You always MacGyvered this sort of stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
Didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Because it's like, oh, this toy, it's not doing exactly what I want it to. Let's sort it out.
Let's make this better.
Let's paint the paint details where it needs to be painted. Let's make it better. Let's build a PKE meter out of Lego.
Yeah.
And have lights on it.
Yeah.
I remember all that stuff. But yeah, no, that's again one of the reasons that we were friends, I think, because I always respected and loved that stuff that you did. It was awesome. The other thing that you did that I remember, and one of the major failings of the toy line is that you never had representations of the totems.
Yeah.
So you couldn't get a Philot, you couldn't get a lion or whatever. But Andy tried to make up for this by getting Britain's zoo animals of the ones he could get and painting them blue.
Yeah, I did definitely a lion
Green.
and a cheetah.
Yes.
And
You did a gorilla as well?
Yeah, I think I did. And because the mollusk that Darkstorm turned into was so very, very distinct, and you couldn't get a toy of that, I made one out of Fimo.
Yes.
Modelling clay stuff.
Yes, that you put in the oven.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, we nearly got there. And if they did it again, they should totally, obviously, do the totem representations, because you would have to make a mollusk.
Yeah.
I do like the fact you got those weird alien creatures in there, though, just to sort of drive the point home that Prismos is not Earth.
It's not Earth, yeah. Yeah, it was really interesting. As a kid, I was like, Kravex turns into a Philot. I was like, what the... It's a Philot!
Yeah.
It's cool.
I think you did the fox as well, didn't you, for Ektar?
I can't remember. I definitely remember doing the cheetah for Witterquick.
Yeah, I remember Witterquick.
But I can't remember if I did a fox or not.
No, it's...
I would have to go back in time and have a word with my younger self.
Yes, you would. Do that. Get on it. Are you back yet?
Wibbly wobbly.
What news of biscuits? That's Harry Hill. But no, that's the only failing that they had. It really is that they didn't have the actual totem animals with them. Other than that, the toys were great. They were really high standard. I mean, it turns out too high a standard.
I would say if they do new Visionaries and they're not going to do the hologram gimmick, each figure should come with a transparent plastic animal totem in the colour of their allegiance. Definitely.
I agree with that. I think that would be cool.
I'd be happy with that.
Obviously, you need blue for the Spectral Knights and green for the Darkling Lords.
Yep. Oh, and then you could have a third faction with a different colour. You could have like a red faction.
I think that, obviously, if the series had continued, we were going to go with the Sun Imps.
Yeah.
It was all going to be to do with the Sun Imps, and I think there would have been a third faction then. Like a Sun Imp-powered faction.
Yeah.
So that would make sense for sort of red or yellow.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be really interesting. God, I wish they'd continued with it just a bit more. Just a little bit.
There's not even that much sort of fanfic out there.
Which surprises me, because ordinarily there's fanfic about everything. I bet there's probably porn of it, but if there's no fanfic, I'm not interested.
There's always porn of it. apparently there was a pitch in 2009 to 2010 as well. That was Abrams Gentile Entertainment Incorporated. And they looked to relaunch Visionaries brand. So the pitch was around a 3D movie release or TV web series. And their hopes would be for a live-action movie franchise along the lines of Transformers, G.I. Joe, Lord of the Rings, that kind of thing. And the company had been pushing for a return of Visionaries since the days of the X-Men, so around 2001.
All right.
The project is still in development, apparently, so there is not specific detail about it. But they have always said of Visionaries.net that they would put it up if it ever sort of fell down. So yeah, AGE decided to option the rights to the brand back to Hasbro in 2010. So Hasbro then filed for new trademark applications with the Patent Office, and they had a dedicated IP team led by Aaron Archer who decided to work on the Visionaries property along with other 80s lines. And that's where they get the Unit E 2011 comic. But Visionaries weren't included in that.
Oh.
Nobody knows why. Could have been something to do with AGE, or could have been something to do with they decided not to bother. But Emiliano Santalucia did work on concepts for that. But there are non-disclosure agreements in place covering that work, so he can't show us any of that. He can't say anything. Yeah, apparently the IP team has since been disbanded. A lot of members have left the company, but it was not the end of the Visionaries Reborn project, because AGE and Hasbro are still working on it. Yeah, it's something that's sort of continually in development, and AG keeps sort of saying, yes, we're going to do this. Yes, we're going to do that. Yes, we're going to do this. They do announce things sometimes, but it's usually sort of a low-key announcement that they make saying, yeah, we're definitely going to do this. And then you hear nothing.
Yeah, it's development hell, isn't it?
It basically is. And the problem is that, it's annoying because you see some stuff and you see sort of drips and drabs and you think, yeah, this will be cool. And then nothing happens. For instance, one of the sort of leaked things that we do know about is that at some point the totems are going to be dinosaurs.
Oh, right.
Which would have been very cool.
Yeah.
But just never happened. So it keeps being sort of pushed around, as you say, development hell. And nothing seems to be coming of it. Now that we've got past Transformers, the Bumblebee film effectively will be the last one for a while.
Yeah.
And they have announced a Mask movie.
That'd be cool. I'd like to see that.
We'll see if it happens. Now they've announced all that, maybe now is the time. Maybe the time is right. It's been a while since... I think they should have pushed for it when Lord of the Rings was a thing.
Yeah. Having said that, though, there is is it Netflix doing a Lord of the Rings TV series?
Yeah.
So fantasy might be making a bit of a comeback.
The only thing that I think will stop it now is that Hasbro have just acquired Power Rangers.
Oh, yeah.
So they basically don't need to do Visionaries anymore.
Oh, I think they should, though, because Power Rangers... have they got the rights to... do everything Power Rangers wise? I mean, we're talking like toys as well as TV stuff.
It's not the TV stuff; it's the toys.
Right.
Obviously, Disney owns. No, Saban owns it.
Saban, isn't it?
But they bought the rights to the toys, so they make all the toys now.
Yeah.
Because previously it was Mattel, I think.
Yeah.
Possibly, I forget. I don't.
Was it Bandai?
Oh yeah, it's Bandai. I don't know much about Power Rangers if I'm being honest, but so they basically bought the rights to make all the toys, and yeah, it's cool. It's cool that they've done it, but it does mean that now they have Star Wars, Transformers, and Power Rangers, and they're the three big ones these days.
But then that did lead to the wonderful April Fool that we got this year as well.
Oh, which one was that?
The Weird Wolf headmaster from Titan's Return in painted blue, doing the rounds online. Yeah.
I did see that.
Which was it Pete Sinclair did that, and I think he's actually doing one and giving it away at his like convention. But yeah, the Weird Wolf kind of all done in like nice metallic blues, and the headmaster being feral. I would have totally bought Transformers, Visionaries themed Transformers. That would
Absolutely.
be, yeah, I'd have been there with bells on. I like stuff like that. Nice, interesting sort of theme. There's
maybe that's the thing Hasbro can do after Power of the Primes, because they do love a repaint. So
Hell
just bring out these characters, and then nobody needs to know that they are what they are. The fans will know what they are, but most sort of Joe Blogs won't know, and that's okay. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, like Transformers, Power of the Magical Light, or whatever. Call the subset whatever you want to, but do a nice little Visionaries themed subset on general release. It'd be
Just
really
call
cool.
them Transformers. Just call them Transformers.
Yeah.
Just make it part of Power of the Primes, or I don't know. They don't need to draw any attention to it whatsoever, as far as I'm
Pay
concerned.
no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Smoke. Are you smoking yet? But yeah, Visionaries, they are very, very cool. If you go on eBay and look at them, don't.
It'll break your heart. Yeah.
Yeah, your blood pressure will go through the roof and you probably have a heart attack and go, "Huh!" Suddenly the animator had a fatal heart attack. And there was much rejoicing. But no, the best thing you can do is go watch the cartoon series and then get really sad that you can't buy the figures.
Yeah.
That's what I generally do, because they are really, really expensive. Plus, you get assholes splitting parts off the figures, so you'll get them taking off the totem off the chest. You'll get them selling that separately, the helmet separately, the weapon separately, the staff separately.
It's not right, that sort of thing. I really hate when you see people do that. And you know damn well it's the same seller. Just sell it in one lot.
It's the problem is that people buy them.
Yeah.
So they think, I don't need to stop doing it, do I?
Yeah.
Because idiots are buying them. So stop buying them. I know you want that figure. I want that figure, but this isn't the way. But they do it with the vehicles as well. They'll just take things off the vehicle and say, yes, canopy for blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's such an asshole thing to do.
It totally is. You've got to draw a line collecting somewhere, though. And I do, with very few exceptions, I will stick to purely Transformers. And even within Transformers, I will stick to purely like the Chug stuff, the Classics, Universe, Generations type stuff, which includes stuff like Power of the Primes and the upcoming, and not to be confused with the toy line or computer game of the same name, War for Cybertron, which is the one that's following Power of the Primes.
Yeah.
I still can't believe that they're doing like versus packs apparently to start it off. And because the fan poll this year was like, who do you want to see? Do you want to see Trax versus Needlenose because they're brothers and like find out the story behind them, or do you want to see I forget who the other ones were. Impactor versus Mirage is the one that won. But they're going to be deluxe size figures, and Impactor needs a Voyager figure.
Needs a leader, really.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I'd be happy with like tall Voyager, but anything upwards of that would scale all right for me. But thankfully, MMC are doing a re-release of their Spartan toy.
All right, which apparently that's very good.
Yeah, the ITW-based one.
Bisto loves it. I think it was his Transformer of the Week for about 5 weeks or something stupid like that.
I saw our mutual friend Mr. Dave Mentz talking about it online, and that made me really want that figure even more than I already did. But
just because you've got a big chubby on for Dave, that's all.
Nah.
Man crush alert.
No, I just he looks like Luke Skywalker, which I think is awesome.
He does look like Luke Skywalker, doesn't he? He's awesome.
And Emily and her shark obsession is just always a joy to behold.
I'm not talking about her on the podcast.
No, because
I got into trouble last time.
You off, yeah.
I got told off. So no, I think she's a lovely lady, and I hope she enjoys her new car.
Yeah, and I met her before I even really knew her as well, because she was at Rollout Roll Call when I was at Rollout Roll Call, so I kind of saw her in person, and even before I spoke to her online.
Well, they're a lovely couple. She's a lovely young lady, and I wish them happiness with their new car.
Yay! And
that's all I'm saying, because I don't want to get told off. But yeah, Visionaries, like I say, they are stupidly expensive on eBay. But you know, keep looking because you will find a bargain on there occasionally when somebody doesn't know what they have. But I would really just say watch the cartoon and sort of cry at the end of it and think, oh, I wish there was more of this, but there wasn't. It's just this weird little thing. It's like in Humanoids, it's this weird little thing that Hasbro weren't really looking, they weren't really paying attention, and the creators just did something really, really cool with it.
Yeah.
And wrote a very good series that really stands the test of time.
I never saw the Inhumanoids cartoon. I must watch that at some point because
it's basically it's Lovecraft.
Yeah.
It's
I enjoyed the comic. But I'd never seen the cartoon, and it's really weird because I was enjoying the comic because it was the backup stripping Transformers comic, and I don't think I ever saw any toys for it until like way after it had died.
Yeah, they wasn't released over here at the time for some reason. But I've got the cartoon. It's ace. It's really good. It is on Daily Motion if you do want to watch it.
I will give that a watch, definitely.
Yeah, I think I bought it years ago, and it was like £2. Awesome. I think the Millman, hello Andy, you do listen to this. So Andy Millman from the Moonbase too. He messaged me and said, "Dude, do you want to watch this?" I said, "Oh, do I?" He says, "Yeah, it's only £2. Buy it." I said, "All right then." So I bought it, watched it, and said, "Yeah, you were right, mate." We'll have to get Andy back on, Andy and Mikey from Moonbase too, because they're two awesome dudes. So yeah, I mean that's basically Visionaries. There's not much to talk about, sadly, but we all love it. I like the designs, I like the colours, I like the fact that it wasn't gang moulded. Like I say, the vehicles and figures were of a really high standard, and as it turns out, too high. The cartoon was to a really high standard, and it turns out too high. The only thing you can sort of maybe miss is the comic, because there wasn't much of it. But other than that, you should be watching, you should be buying if you can. But there you go. Andy.
Yo.
Thank you for being on.
It's a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, especially to talk about something that we had a mutual love of. Because I remember you convinced me to buy my first figures.
Yeah, it was Witterquick, wasn't it? Your first one.
It was Witterquick and Lexor.
Yeah.
And it was at Littlewoods. It was at the Littlewoods catalogue store.
Ah, yeah.
Because we walked home.
Well, we always walked into town. There was like no point in taking the bus, was
we
it?
used to meet up at Woolies.
Yeah. Yeah, about 10 o'clock, 10:30 on Saturday morning at Woolies.
Yep, and then popped down. It was stupid, really, because we both went the same way to town. But, you know, Chinny Recon and all that. But, yeah, we used to do that or go down the Dome.
Yeah.
Waste all our money on a Saturday
morning. Turtles are down the Dome, or a bit of real Ghostbusters down the Dome.
Yeah, it was good times. And like I say, you convinced me to buy my very first Visionary, so I blame you for all of it.
Well, I'm nothing if not an enabler.
And then you hocked a loogie, and I said, "How much?"
I remember that.
I was just thinking the other day, and I thought, "Oh yeah, shit, that happened." That's like 30 years of memory.
Oh God,
it would have been 88, 89.
Yeah,
but yeah. That was a weird. Like to everybody else, that memory means nothing, but to us, it's like, oh shit, yeah, we're old.
Yeah, that turned into one of it was like a little in joke. The whole how much?
How much? Yeah, weird. Weird what comes into your head from memories and stuff, but there you go. Yeah, like I say, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's all your fault that I'm doing Visionaries and stuff, but that's great. Thank you very much for that.
I could have got you into much worse things if I'd have been a poor friend. So
I mean, all the hentai and stuff. Yeah, it was
I was thinking drugs, but you know,
all that tentacle porn.
No, I tend to keep that to myself.
Yeah, tentacle. Oh dear. Where can we find you online, Andy?
Well, you can find me on the old iTunes or SoundCloud if you search for Smorgaspod.
Which you should.
I'm at Smorgaspod on Instagram or Twitter. The Smorgaspod has a Facebook page as well where you can find me and Mr. Aaron Dennis doing our weekly thing. If you go on the old YouTubes and search for Smorgaspod, you will find not only the YouTubes of the ongoing weekly podcast that myself and Mr. Dennis do, but you will find our other little segments, like my Transform and Tell, where once a week I get a robot out and show it to the camera and turn it into stuff and things. So yeah, if you want to see more of me outside of the Back to the 80s podcast here, then search for Smorgaspod and I won't be far behind you.
Excellent stuff. You should definitely do all of that stuff. Smorgaspod's a great thing. I listen to it at work every week, and it's one of the highlights of my week. It's very good.
Occasionally I bust out a really unexpected swear and make you giggle.
Yes. Cunt! It's very, very funny. But there you go. We won't talk much about that. If you want to find us, back to the 80s, if you found us somewhere and don't know where the main site is, it's btte.libsyn.com. You can also find us on Twitter at bttepod, and also on Facebook, which is facebook.com/bttepod as well. As for myself, you can find me on Twitter at Cymru Nerd Cave. Glenn Jakeman is my handle on Facebook because it's my name, and you can also find me on YouTube as well at Cymru Nerd Cave, which is Cymru spelled Cymru. I had a brain fart then. Cymru, and then Nerd Cave as in Nerd Cave. So, and if you have trouble spelling Cymru or don't know what it is, just Google Wales in Welsh, and it'll tell you. They'll probably give you about 15 different words because there are about 15 different ways to say it in Welsh, but there you go. It's all about context, people. But there you go. We shall leave you this week with, choose a song, Andy.
Crikey. Oh, God. Put me on the spot. There's so many songs. There are so many songs. An 80s song. I'm going to go with... Have we had I Ran So Far Away, which I believe... Is it Flock of Seagulls?
You had that last time.
Did I? Damn it!
Either you did or Phil did, and I can't remember.
It must be my default 80s song, then. I don't know. You pick a song.
Okay, then. I'll pick a song. We'll go with Hungry Like the Wolf by Duran Duran.
Oh, good choice. Because Ferrell.
Yeah.
He's a visionary. He's hungry like a wolf.
Exactly.
I should have thought of that.
That's all right. I shall also put the full opening of the Visionaries TV show on, which is basically your exposition dump, which is great. I do love it.
Put on the closing theme as well, the purely instrumental one, because that's great. It gives you everything you need to know about the feel of the show, because it's epic. It's an epic theme.
It is. It's a very good theme. So we shall put
Kinder O'Brien again, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes,
it is. It's either them or him, Sabin, and Chuka Levy.
Oh dear.
So there we go. Brilliant stuff. Andy, again, thanks for being on. Say bye-bye to all the listeners.
Bye-bye, all you listeners.
And yes, bye-bye from me as well. We should be back next week because Duncan hopefully will be back on. And then after that, we're going to get the Amazing Amy back as well to talk about one of her favourite films. In fact, it should all work out really well because Duncan's going to be talking about Predator and she's going to be talking about Aliens.
Sweet.
So it's going to be awesome! Until next time, guys. Bye-bye for now.
It is a time when magic is more powerful than science, and only those who control the magic control destiny. They are the Visionaries.
Knights of the magical light. Visionaries, magical powers they fight. Powers of light, dreams give and speed. Powers to accomplish the greatest of deeds. Visionaries, knights of the magical light.
How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. So wrote the poet Elizabeth Moulton Barrett to the poet Robert Browning. Theatre Night next week brings the story of their love and tells of Elizabeth's struggle to escape the ruling of her strict Victorian father. The Barretts of Wimpole Street, starring Jane Lapotaire and Jeremy Brett, next Sunday at 7:35. Starting on Thursday, Boogie Outlaws, a new drama serial set in an England where the army helped the police enforce the curfew. When a rock band take the law into their own hands, they end up on the run.
You'll have to get rid of the coach. No chance, Mr. Holt.
They'll be looking for you.
They couldn't be bothered. It was a bit of street violence that happened somewhere in the middle of a field. A passing moment, it happens.
It was an act of terror. It'll make its mark. Media. And when it does, it'll make an otherwise not very exciting bunch of minor musos. Bookie outlaw.
There's quite a few bands stay here. There's a studio. Nothing very spectacular, just something for Daddy's pet projects.
He likes music, does he?
One of his hobbies. He owns Stop Records. I suppose I was scouting for him really when I met you lot.
Boogie Outlaws starts on Thursday at 9:30 on BBC Two. Over on One now, David Vine's presenting coverage of the Royal International Horse Show from Birmingham. But the pace is rather faster here on Two as we climb into the hot seat now on the street circuit of the auto capital of the world for the Detroit Grand Prix.
Count Dracula, the propagator of this unspeakable evil, has disappeared. He must be found and destroyed.
On Friday, Hammer, the studio that dripped blood, a documentary prelude to a new season of horror films on Two.
One thing that Dracula didn't like was crucifix. Right at the end of the picture, Van Helsing forces Dracula into a shaft of sunlight. I suggested that they had the long refractory table, a candlestick at each end, and I could rush along like a mad thing, leap on the table again, grab one candlestick, rush to the other and grab the other, then boing them together.
A look behind the scenes at Hammer, the studio that dripped blood, on Friday at 9:30 on Two. So we can all look forward to being rendered completely insensible for the next few weeks here on Two. Shades of Midsummer Madness there, I fancy. Well, there's almost 6 minutes to go now before the end of the longest day this year. I hope you've enjoyed our programmes tonight and that you'll be with us again tomorrow. On behalf of all of us here on BBC Two, this is Cathy Stewart wishing you a very peaceful, shortest night. Good night.